There's lots of
I think we had something like that before, and that didn't really work out.
You have lots of skills talking in bars with your bartender back.
Yeah, you can be a bar person, right? Just don't get handled like you did before.
You know how to act drunk.
I don't know if she expects a drunk Thomas.
I can't quite see how a drunk lizardman disguised Thomas is going to help us.
No. But what do you guys think we should do? I just think that's the first probable goal. Going into the heights without any idea of where to go? No. We know where the dwarf's shop is, but he's protected by the law, and what are we really going to do? I mean, he's going to be like, so, you want to know about this? Well, as it turns out, get out of my damn shop. And we're going to be like, oh, well, all right.
Need to sneak into his house and
break in and stuff.
I mean, how much authority...
I mean, that's the only way
we were told he had more than us, so...
But I'm not thinking about him. I'm thinking about just, shutting down the entire tavern and just doing a raid.
The tavern is different.
Like,
yeah, just invade the tavern.
Like for a place in the Haven, that wouldn't fucking... You could get some fucking level 1 and level 2 guards to help you. The Haven is fucking Slumville, dude. You guys are more important than fucking Slumville. Fuck those cons. Yeah,
we just surround the entire place, take everyone prisoner, and see what we find.
I mean, that could work. Thomas is a guard person. Hurim has never really interacted with
you would need a
law
day.
Enforcement.
You need a day to push the proper directives up and down the chain. But after a day, you could get enough authority to do that. You have the authority. You just need the time to exert it.
It would certainly less rely on our skill set. On the other hand, if
we would probably be there, because if there's someone powerful, they'll just stab the guard and run, right?
Either
there's probably going to be
they,
secret underground entrances and stuff.
Or they have already infiltrated the guards, which I feel is likely.
Probably.
The more bureaucracy there is, the easier it is to actually get wind of something big coming on. And I mean, shutting down a tavern in the Haven wouldn't be a huge thing, I guess. But it would be
that tavern.
It would be that tavern and us.
Yeah, it depends on if they found out that we are involved or not.
So it's a question between, do we want to go the subtle, prone to failure approach, or do we want to just brute force the thing and hope they don't realize that things are happening?
I mean, this group's done well with brute force in the past, right?
We've done really bad with subtlety.
Why break the trend?
So we just bring down the hammer on everything and everyone we can possibly find.
Enact martial law.
The entire empire, the entire world here is at stake. Shutting down one tavern is damage I can accept.
And even if that person isn't there or manages to escape, which probably will, maybe somebody knows of that person. Maybe somebody wants to, get out. And...
Is there such a thing as a witness protection program?
I don't know. This is really Thomas's whole deal. He's the guard person. He's done this sort of thing before, right?
Probably, I guess.
He obviously.
Santa Cora is very, very peaceful. No violence. Stuff really happens. All of the religions are highly tolerant of each other. And if there's something the guards in Santa Cora won't do, it's try to infringe upon anyone's religious freedoms. It's kind of like Priestess Mandate.
Thomas, as a thought exercise, might have planned for just such a thing in his free time.
A priest, so.
And then he punched a priest. Yeah, so that didn't go well.
Thought exercise, alright.
All these violent games he plays.
It starts as a thought exercise, and then he needed a practical experiment.
That priest was a dick.
I bet. Evil gods and everything. Alright, yeah, we could certainly raid the slums.
However, first, Tempus.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the thing Tempus wanted.
He'll be the first one that needs to have
I imagine it's as you guys are leaving the room, Tempus falls out of the backpack.
Oh shit.
The weathered, ancient and exhausted face of Lord Taraptus, it brightens up a little bit, and it says, "Oh, splendid. I won't have to wait any longer."
Tempus, looks around, gets a feel for his bearings, sees Lord Teraptus. He has a distinct idea what's coming along, and he just sort of wanders up and takes a seat. Unless Lord Teraptus stops him, which he probably does.
No, like, no, please, have a seat. You others, no, you can stand there by the door, that's fine. This won't take long.
Alright then.
Tempus has one of his boots up over his knee, and he plucks out a hairpin.
So...
He plucks out a needle, and, holds it in his hand, visible for Lord Teraptus.
I am taking, then, that you failed to complete the job.
Well, there's no point sugarcoating this. I failed your task, and he leans forward and puts it on the table, then goes back into his seat. I take no pleasure in this, believe me.
If all the wizard killers out there, could you have at least brought one of them to justice?
Of all the times that I had the opportunity to kill him, if I took advantage of it, I wouldn't be sitting in front of you. And believe me, it does bring me a lot of how to phrase this, embarrassment, really. Another of the jobs has been given to me and I fail it miserably, as you can tell. There was several times. The first time I reformed in front of him into an envelope in my sleeve to kill him, when apparently he'd helped my colleagues escort and guide through the city. The second time was as he was watching out after we had just been ambushed, and he was giving vital information on who had ambushed us and strategic and diplomatic information on how to solve the situation. And the time where I thought I may have a chance to find him, he'd gone. Amongst all the gang that had appeared, they had disappeared. And then, just this inclination that there was one point where he was brutally weakened. Just this idea in my head where he was vulnerable, and a spot where I could have taken it, finished it, and solved it. And I was stuck in the box that you saw reforming there. Do I make excuses? No. If anything, I've just shown how incompetent I am at murdering someone.
Lord Teraptus will reach over and grab the nail and say, I will permit you leave, but I hope, strongly, for your sake, that the name Jinzeros is no longer attached to more assassinations of wizards.
If that's the case, well, I already owe quite a substantial debt to you anyway, especially in the asset of my pride.
You may go.
Tempus doesn't take a second chance. He doesn't slam his boots down, but like a child that's just been smacked.
Although perhaps you could have cooperated with the others and maybe told them that I wanted this Jinzeros dead, so that they could pick up the pieces without you. Let this be a lesson of cooperation to you, Tempus.
Yes, Lord Teraptus.
Good. Lord Teraptus will start thumbing through his papers again.
Yes. I imagine Tempus has walked out to all of you staring at him.
Leon has a very amused smile, knowing what was going to happen in the beast. So, job didn't go as well as you expected, right?
Well, that's one way to describe it.
I don't think we should have killed him anyway. He was useful and is atoning for his sins.
And you'll have a hard...
He was not only useful, he was a nice person.
That too.
Despite having done mistakes in the past, I suppose.
Well, that is one way to describe it.
Don't second guess yourself, Tempest. You did it right.
If you insist.
I do.
Right. The druid that's got us in a lot of shit thinks I did the right thing.
Better than
Just
nobody
remain
thinking you
silent.
did the right thing.
Well, Gryph, since you're here and all, I mean, you might as well be able to participate in the session like last. So, could you identify at least one extraordinary experience that helped Tempus grow and evolve, and while you're at it, explain how Tempus acquired a new icon relationship die?
Okay. I need to find that thing that I sent you.
Right, the notes that you sent me.
I need to find it. Can I get a couple of moments to just
Sure,
bring it
by all
up?
means, yes. I'm gonna allow the players to continue to contemplate what they want to do next session. That's the primary reason why this session ended early, so that we could have mandatory during session time, planning time.
Ah.
So we basically do a raid on the Fox and the Hound.
Yeah.
Then we have the people there interrogated. Maybe even do some of the interrogations ourselves. I'm sure Thomas can do that sort of thing very well. Nothing else. I hear Leon is good at it.
We can play good cop, bad cop.
We could do good cop, bad cop.
Because I don't. If the guards are corrupt, they surely will just have the corrupt guard talk to the person who actually knows something. The guards, they can only do so much without us, of course, noticing that something's wrong, which would then lead to that agent being captured. And most corrupt people generally aren't, I don't think, willing to sacrifice life and limb to aid the people. It's mostly likely, they look the other way kind of thing. Be an assumption. Well, of course, any plan we make will be interrupted whenever we find something that is a better lead. But after that, maybe talking to the merchant here, putting a little pressure on him. He's a merchant. He will want his business to keep going well, and this whole association might soon become very dangerous for him. And with our reputation, we should have actually, and our authority, we should have some. Simply by intimidating a little bit, we might be able to provoke him to do something. After that, maybe sending a few people to shadow him, see where he goes. If he panics and needs to go and, I don't know, tell his associates something, he will go somewhere where he can meet them, and then we can follow. We can have someone follow him, because at this point we're not really inconspicuous enough to do that ourselves.
So for that, we would first of all need to find someone who can shadow, who's somewhat reliable.
I'm sure there's someone.
Which
The
we
guard
could
has some
probably-
undercover agents. We need a couple that can be stayed in the street corners with a newspaper or whatever, in trench coats, and who can then.
We'll be told by Lord Taramptus that they've attempted to shadow Thyril Dural before, and they haven't been able to keep up with him.
Oh, interesting. Well, it sounds like something we all might need to do then.
Well, Tempest, my contacts have advised me to stay away from him, that he's dangerous and he's hunting me. If you're looking for something that's going against my better judgment, you could use me as bait.
At least you suggested it, Stephanie.
We could. I'd rather
You call him.
to.
He doesn't know I'm with you, or is so far associated with you. There's a price on my head, of which I am sure he'd be willing to pay it. And there is always the option that you could have me bound, and Tempus will stick his hands up in air quotations, and get him in for a discussion, hearing that he is looking for me.
If there was a particular place we wanted to have him go, the problem is here that if we take him out, then what?
Well,
he will likely refuse to tell us anything, sure that the law and his money and connections will protect him. And that is likely true. They likely will. And if he goes missing, well, it's likely we are likely some of the people will be asked where he is.
Well, the other part is, if you're planning on using me for an ambush, he's not going to come himself. He'll send his goons, and they'll want to take me off individually. So you'd need to prepare for that eventuality. Obviously, you're not going to murder his goons or take them out or, God forbid, disguise yourselves as them and escort me into his compound. That's not a genuine idea. Don't give me those looks.
No. We tried that with Thomas once. It was not good. So, I still think that making him a little bit afraid, and then we might have to shadow him ourselves in some way to find out where he goes when he feels threatened by someone who might be... We can hint that we are knowing something about something. The Heights, I don't really know how to approach that. We could go and talk to them, I'm sure. We could arrange a meeting with them. They're rich enough to have people to do that sort of thing.
I feel it's too distant a connection to handle.
Wait a second. Coming back to the merchant. What if Tempus wasn't playing bait, but rather... Tempus is very angry that this merchant wants him, so he plans on revenge. And there's these 4 amazing adventurers who are just offering to give the merchant protection from this evil assassin.
Fantastic, if my reputation needed any more sullying.
But I don't think we can be sure he doesn't know we associate with Tempus.
Well, that is true.
We've done enough and been seen enough. And if he at all has any connection to the Little Dragon Hall, I'm sure Tempus's name, in association with ours, have come up. What he might not have known, he might very well know now.
If Canara bought the ship, it definitely shows there a possible chance there that some knowledge was exchanged.
She certainly did see Tempus in box form and in folded out form. Still, perhaps something we could go for. He might want Tempus badly enough that he would even attempt to take us out as well. If he were to take aggressive action against us, that would, in some way, if we could prove it, be, well, a reason to go for him. Remove his protection.
And if he goes for us, then we're on the right of the law.
Yeah. If he does it openly, which I don't imagine he would.
Well, if he sends goons after us, how about we don't kill them? We simply find a way for them to see us as the better deal.
I'm thinking maybe they likely are unlikely to take such a deal. I don't think he would be dumb enough to. He has survived this long by not being dumb enough to get caught. Right? Is that a correct assumption?
Well, so far, if he's protected by the law, the constabulary, the watch, yeah, I imagine he's done quite a fantastic job.
I'm sure he has reasonably deniable agents.
But, Tempus will think, well, he's not a liked guy, he doesn't like me. I'm sure he doesn't like a lot of people. I could always try and snoop around, fill some strength, see what I can find, maybe use it for our advantage. I know a few people, especially in this city as opposed to Drakenhall. I have a few connections.
That would be great, if you have any.
I'll see what I can do, but, and Tempest sort of wiggles his hands. As much as I have gained in reputation, I've also lost reputation.
Raiding the Fox and the Hound certainly seems to be the first option. See if we can find this this mercenary, or anyone who knows anything about Domino.
I would agree if you guys believe is an action, but just to have a look at this, is there a legal point of view that we're not going to have the city come down like us, like a sack of bricks? I mean, is this are we sure that this is going to not come back to bite us, or are we purposely doing it to get bitten?
Taking out the Fox and the Hound.
Well, indeed, it's just in case that he is allied with. Speaking out of character here, I am having to piece a few pieces together. There's a lot of information that was thrown at me.
The tavern is not connected to the merchant in any way.
Okay,
it is in the slums, and we have been given the authority to do a lot of things, basically.
Right, okay, just scrap what Tempus would have said, or you've corrected Tempus by saying, no, we've got... Right, okay.
Yeah,
We're working for the government.
Yeah, we're on the side of the law. It just happens to be that dwarf has slightly more protection than we do.
He's bribed the right people.
Okay, so it's a step in for us to approach this place and deal with it. And, Tempus will firmly put his hand up. Let's not do this stealthily, as Tempus turns to look at Hurim, at Thomas, at Fargus, but doesn't look at Leon.
I mean, I'm decently stealthy, actually.
Yeah, that's why he doesn't look at Leon.
I used to be, but things happened.
Not in an urban environment, especially.
More
Well,
sneaking in
I
the
would
forest.
suggest we surround the place with guard operatives, watching every entrance, and to some degree, we might even want to go in ourselves and declare that the place, that everyone is under arrest, and see what happens. People might be more inclined to fight us than the entire guard, and anyone who fights us might be someone who doesn't want to get captured.
And the reason we do this is not because we want to find out about the fall or anything, it's because of something mundane, like drugs, slaves, whatever is illegal here.
Yes.
So in case it does go wrong, even in case it goes right, it doesn't seem like we are actively looking for the things we're actually looking for.
No.
Sounds good.
Slavery is certainly illegal in Newport.
Fantastic! Somewhere we don't have to be morally ambiguous.
Our friends now can go and live free and happy lives.
Do they want to, though?
The
answer is yes.
The only person who will express any interest in sticking with you is John Oratus. Everyone else has had their fill of being knocked unconscious and left bleeding lying on a stone floor.
Is there
they
anything
are free to leave.
they would need in order to hear suddenly
I mean, well, as much as
offer them?
yeah, like as much as you're willing to offer, they'll take.
I say give them a couple of gold pieces each, just to let them
Yeah,
get settled.
Like,
Again, I'm falling to the trap of thinking, how much is a gold piece worth?
That's why I say like a gold piece or two.
How many
I don't.
how many friends are leaving us?
4.
Four?
Oh, okay. Oh, but
John will stick with you. These guys are like, we're gonna like we really appreciate it and all. So,
I've got this. I'm covering this. Each of them get 10 gold.
all right, no complaints. They're gone.
Okay, I don't think it's a case of like we're giving them a choice.
Give
We're
John
telling them
10 gold
go.
as well.
Yeah.
Live
That sounds like
free
a
and
good
prosper.
idea. Give
Yeah.
John 10 gold.
We hope that your lives will be better than they would
know
have been
what?
at Dragon Hall.
I'll say now, I think we should give, like, all 5 of them, we give them the 10 gold and let them decide what the next step is.
Yeah.
You know, rather than just go, John, no. Like, let's be fair on it.
You
It was
stay, you
still
don't get
5 of them.
anything.
Yeah, 10 gold, just for comparison, gets you 100 common meals.
All right, then let's
So
have a
that's
few
good.
months of
So-
a month of like stay at the tavern and whatnot.
I'm trying to think.
Find a
That's
job.
That's probably the equivalent of about 1,500 to 2,000 euros.
Well, let's say that if they ever need a job, they can come and look up Hurim, and he'll see if he can hook them up with something at the academy.
I will say amusingly, that was Leon's entire starting wealth.
Otho, Bria, Harmir, and Goval, whom you freed from the clutches of tyranny in Drakenhall, and you have now broken official imperial decree in the city of Drakenhall.
We have not freed them. We simply order them to go and live lives as if they weren't slaves.
Shit. Okay, they go. John Radis, however, will remain with you.
Assuming you guys are okay with removing that 10 gold extra from the party pile, I'll hand him 10 gold.
Sure.
No!
Give him 10 gold. He deserves it. He's
money!
he's bled enough.
The 40 I paid to the other slaves, that was from my own wealth, not from the party wealth.
I don't mind forking up that 10 gold. I like John.
Yeah, of course.
I'd be a bit more convinced that surely that Thomas should have been doing that, but I'll take it.
I would have, but DDS was like, here, have 10 gold.
Okay. It'll come from you then, not the pile.
Yes.
All right. I've caught myself up to speed, Grimith, so just whenever you feel is appropriate.
We're not in any rush. We're at the end of the session, Gryph.
No problem.
I made this session short so that I could give players the tools to decide what they wanted to do next, and they wouldn't have an excuse not to decide what to do next.
Much appreciated. Much appreciated.
It's just how far in we should plan, really, because at some point, I mean, raid, Fox and Hound, likely with guards around it, but us going in alone first, and then, like, you know, the guards typically grabbing anyone trying to run.
They create a perimeter.
Then when we tell them to, they kind of come in. Yeah, basically.
Well, in between the sessions, then what I will do is I will try and find. Oh, sorry, on you go, Gryph.
We'll bring that so then to the next thing, Gryph. I hadn't spent either of the 6s you earned, so I'm going to give you a choice. Would you like to keep the 6s you have and not roll for icon relationship dice? Or you want to say, fuck it, I'll chance it, and roll your icon relationship dice?
I'm going to tell you now, the odds are with me keeping those 6s.
They sure are.
I know the odds of dice. What are the 6s, though? I don't know what the 6s are
your
in,
6s,
and I've made that choice.
As a reminder, are an Archmage 6 and a Prince of Shadows 6.
Well, I was already convinced on keeping them, so I was happy I didn't know. So, I mean, you telling me is a case of, like, it's already locked in.
Yes. Seeing as how, didn't get a chance to spend those at all, and I hadn't incorporated them in any way, I thought I'd give you that opportunity.
I have an idea of how I can write it in. Can do a similar thing to what I done for Tempus's level 5 thing for you. I have ideas, as well as Manaki and such have helped me grasp how to do it.
Alright.
I have ideas.
Which, by the way, I don't think you did find the document, but you didn't actually share how Tempus had grown. Why don't you go ahead and do that?
Indeed. Okay, so during Drakenhall, specifically the week that Tempus had spent with Dwohurim fixing the mechanization, there was some downtime in between one of the works, and Tempus had went outside just to get a bit of the cold, fresh air. Because working in a hot, oily environment with lots of cogs, sometimes you need a bit of time to let the springs rewind. You need to let the gears stop whining and crunching. You need some air in his face. So he went outside, and he was just, he decided to take some time and fix some of the gears. So just while he was doing that, though, he heard a thunk. As if something had hit into the wood. And he was right. He discovered a bolt had been firmly embedded in one of the wooden struts outside of Dwohurim Hall. And upon approaching it, the device was whirring and ticking. Click, 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 click. And of course, Tempus started to get alarmed and a sort of panic. And the device opened and let out a small toot of a... And Tempus, being a bit dumbfounded, saw a scroll fall out onto the snow ground below him. He picked it up and had a look at it, and it had a wax seal of a cog. And, he just looked up at the bolt and found the device had all this machinations inside of it, all these clockworks and gears. He takes the time and tries to remove it, and just as he does so, Dwohurim comes outside, screaming for Tempus that, "Come now, I've almost finished the planar tool calibration unit. We will need to work quickly to ensure the polarity and arcane units work flawlessly with the 17th tier upon the 6th and 8th cogs." And Tempus will just accept it and take the vault and put it in his top alongside the scroll, leaving it for a while. And some time passes, such as what the sessions have occurred, and during the boat ride over on the not-so-calm seas, Tempus would reform on the boats and talk to the crew and get an idea of what's going on. This is before the storm, however, where the crew was still more jolly and friendly, and chatting along to colleagues and learning of Jinzeros being mortally wounded, and of course which would deeply sadden Tempus, realizing that this was a horrible failure in the task that was given him, the one vital opportunity. And during his downside, he sits down and feels this something prodding into him. It's the bolt. And he takes it out and then remembers the scroll and unfurls. He removes the cog wax seal and reads it out. It's a letter that's been sent to him. And the letter, just to give you a gist, is about someone that's been trying to find him. To tell him that there is such a substantial bounty on Tempus's head that it could set him up for life. To set them up for such wealth that they would need nothing more. They could establish the most well-funded spy network in the Empire. They could purchase so many holiday homes, a fantastic casino, all of these wonderful ideas, and that's how it starts. But then goes on to say, I owe you a favour, and this is the favour, for saving my sister and for doing those other deeds. Here's the information. You are a very wanted man. You are hunted down by so many people, not just the Dwarf King. There are rivals in the Prince of Shadows looking for you. They see you as a threat. You've had some good luck and some bad luck, but you're getting up there. You're developing this reputation. You're getting known. People are noticing and hearing about you more. But here's the play. The Dwarf King's followers are looking for you. You know this already. There is a bounty. However, they're not alone in looking for you. A group of Forgeborn who witnessed your escape from the Great Dwarven Games have formed into resistance and are fighting back. They are praising you as the Great Redeemer. Yes, I could hardly believe it too, and I'm definitely sure, you petty thief, you're not believing me. But, by the Prince of Shadows, believe me, you are at more risk than you know. Try to be more subtle, Tempus. You're becoming a dangerous adversary and dislodging a lot of people through your antics. And, to finally bring balance for the favour, enclosed in the bolts will be a few gears. They are subtly enclosed. These gears will help you move a bit quicker, provide a fair increase to your swing speed and dexterity. And Prince steals at Tempus. Try to stay alive. I have a good bet waging on you, and quite a fair few other people are taking a keen interest in seeing how far you'll go. Yours begrudgingly, Darylis Sadaka. And P.S. Also, sort out that Druid. He stands out like a sore thumb. That's how I found you. Tempus will smile, fold up the scroll, and put it back into his pocket alongside all the keepsakes and memories, the photo of the drow and his family, or the drawings and all other memorabilia that he keeps stashed away within his cloak. He takes the mechanics and starts slotting them into him, and he feels much more at ease and much smarter. But he can't help but feel that a couple of the sailors are keeping a much more keen eye on them. Shady characters, people that he wouldn't be surprised are part of the Prince of Shadows' wonderfully complicated and involved network. He spends most of the rest of the journey wondering if they're against him, for him, or the very broad neutral that are starting to hear of him. The Tempus will swing back on the barrel that he's sitting on against the side of the boat, and just mutter, so I have a following. Well, this is something indeed. Fun yet dangerous, but hey, when has my life not been? And Tempus will just watch the sea as it passes. That's how Tempus got to level 5 and got more interest from the Prince of Shadows that satisfied his relationship dice and complicated relationships further.
That was pretty excellent.